What's up everybody, Chad here for yet another video in the Subaru Crosstrek, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons why I did decide to go with this particular vehicle for my next car. So we're going to just jump right into it, because a 6-speed manual transmission is something that I particularly wanted. Not necessarily 6 speeds, but a manual transmission. So as you all know, manual transmissions are not super common anymore, and being able to row your own gears is still a very satisfying thing. I think we can all agree on that. And the Subaru Crosstrek is one of the very few wagons, crossovers, SUVs, depending on how you want to look at it, that still offers it. Now, the Mazda 3 hatchback does still offer a manual transmission, and of course there are other enthusiast type vehicles out there that do offer manual transmissions, but this one kind of stands out and is a very unique segment, I would say, being a small wagon, which is kind of how I am going to classify this vehicle. Again, I've talked about in the past how wagons are just kind of this cool, unique area where a lot of people are like, oh, station wagon, you know, why would anybody want that? That was a thing of the 70s and 80s. You know, it was a family hauler that still was kind of a low to the ground vehicle that could accommodate for this large family size and still have the cargo capacity right behind where the second row passengers was. And I think Subaru honestly dominates this today and does a really good job, and is known as that like quirky kind of family small wagon, or full-size wagon if you look at, like, say, the Outback today, that people are like, wow, that is what they have. That is what Subaru has to offer and what they bring to the table. So again, that is one. This is one of the cars that offers a 6-speed today, and it's a fun thing to drive. Next on the list is the Subaru Crosstrek is a particularly efficient wagon. So this particular model, as equipped with the 6-speed manual transmission, you're seeing about 29 miles per gallon on the highway, 23 in the city. So with that, over time, if I switch my MPG meters over, so over the life of the vehicle so far, I have been achieving 27 miles per gallon combined. So that's not too bad. I do a decent mixture of highway and city driving. So if I'm 2 under compared to their highway mile per gallon rating, I think that's not all that bad. And the fact that it comes with a rather efficient boxer engine. So this particular generation has a direct injected boxer, whereas the first generation Crosstrek had a port injected one. So it is just a bit more efficient now with that addition of the direct injection, and of course has a little bit more power. Not that it's noticeable, but it is certainly there. So having this vehicle just that way is pretty cool to get nearly 30 miles per gallon on the highway, and I've actually touched that according to the meter, and as I'm parking here, 25 miles per gallon right on this meter for this particular field trip, with about a half a tank left. So that's not too bad. I never touched that with my Tacoma. The Tacoma, on a good day when it was stock, hit 23. It hit its highway rating when I'd be driving on the highway, but of course would never see 25 a day in its life. I know I touched on it a little bit, but one thing that really drew me to this particular vehicle is that it is a small SUV slash wagon, and I am actually going to be, going forward, going to be considering this a wagon. So Subaru has been known as the kind of trendy, little odd and quirky looking wagon, but one thing about it that I love is that there is this extra space behind the second row of seats. Now, I know that this is not something just unique to the Crosstrek. It is very similar, in fact, to something like a Volkswagen Tiguan or Ford Edge or anything like that size and category, but something just that looks and has this hiking boot look to it is just very attractive to me. And I thought, you know, you can't go wrong with it. So I just wanted to dedicate this little bit extra to talk about this particular package that Subaru does have. And what a great sound that is, just shutting the trunk. Almost like closing the tailgate on a truck. One thing worth talking about with the Subaru Crosstrek is the value and quality that you do get in it, and this is one of the reasons that I was really considering and ultimately purchased this vehicle. When you're in it and when you're driving it, it does not feel like a low $20,000 vehicle. The quality of the materials that Subaru uses within it, for example, looking here at the door panel, there's quite an array of different materials that you see here, from hard plastics to really soft, supple materials here, and the textures that are up on this piece of trim here. And even though there is faux carbon fiber, it really doesn't look all that bad. And that's something that you see on all 4 door panels and does change as you go to different trim levels within the Crosstrek and of course other Subarus. But it does feel very, very good, and you know that what you're purchasing is not going to be of low quality. So another reason that I did decide to go with the Subaru in general, and not just a Crosstrek, but a Subaru in general, is their symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which is very, very unique to Subaru. So obviously I could not show you that as easily where I was at the moment, because I do not have access to the lift at my folks' house, but I did have this very, very poor drawing that I did for you all, so please do excuse my artwork. I know this is not something you'd see in a museum, but I did draw out essentially what it does look like. So obviously you can see all 4 tires. There's the engine, the transmission, and then the rear differential, and then of course the front differential in Subarus is housed within the transmission of the vehicle. So it is truly, as it is right here, it is very symmetrical, and then from front to back and then left to right. The half shafts or CVs, the axles for each when they're coming out of the rear diff as well as the front diff in the transmission, they are all the same exact length. So there is no torque steer or anything like that due to a shortened or longer CV axle. So what you're looking at here is truly a symmetrical layout. So not only is it low to the ground for a low center of gravity with the boxer engine up in the front, and then the transmission obviously on the same plane, but everything is coming out very straight from the transmission as well as the front diff and the rear diff, which does provide for an efficient drive as well as a very smooth drive as well. So having an all-wheel drive car is something that I was very, very much interested in, and then of course Subaru does dominate the game when it does come to an all-wheel drive system, because all 4 wheels are driven at the same exact time. It's not one of those systems where if there's any slipping in the back, it sends power to the rear. This particular vehicle that I have is obviously a 6-speed manual, but it does have a nominal 50-50 split at all times, and then of course if it is slipping at any wheels, does brake and then use like a faux limited slip differential type system. So we will get into that into another video, but I wanted to show you all this drawing of Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive that I was very, very interested in, and ultimately did play a part in the purchase of this vehicle. So I just wanted to go ahead and wrap up this video by going over the 5 reasons that I did ultimately choose the Subaru Crosstrek again, and in order they are: 6-speed manual transmission is available in this. It is a rather efficient type of vehicle. It is a wagon body style, which I am attracted to and I think are rather kind of neat and quirky. It is of good value and quality. It is one of these Japanese wagon type vehicles, and it is built in Japan still, which is kind of cool, but we'll get into that in a future video. And of course it is all-wheel drive, so that is being the 5th one. It overall is a very fun package. Even though it is not a race car, it is still kind of a fun combination of reasons that do ultimately make it a fun and geared towards a younger crowd type of car. And I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with it so far. It's been a couple months I've had the car now, and I've gotten to spend quite a bit of time with it, and it is quite a joy, I must say. Even though it might take a little bit to get up to speed on the highway, that's okay. And I'm going to be talking about in a future video why I may not have gone with its kind of a similar counterpart, the WRX. Some people were saying in comments, why didn't you choose the faster car, a little bit too ricey for you, or maybe a little bit too of a hot boy type car? And it's like, well, those aren't really the reasons that I didn't go with it, but we'll be talking about that in a future video. So if you all have any questions or comments about a Subaru or Subaru Crosstrek in particular, please leave them below. I am still gaining some Subaru knowledge, but I will talk about what I can. And of course, we're going to be learning about this car and Subaru all together here as the future comes to us. So again, if you have any questions or comments, you know where to leave them. And if you have not subscribed to the channel already, please do so. We have tons of content coming out, and we're not going to be focusing just on the Subaru Crosstrek, but multiple vehicles, four-wheelers, outdoorsy related stuff as we always have on the channel, and more to come. So I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will catch you next time.